Hello everyone. Now in this video we will cover keys in database management system. So let us first understand what is key. So key is an attribute or set of attributes which is used to uniquely identify any record or row of the data from the table. Now before moving further, let us see this example here in this table. So the name of the table is student table. It is also called as relation. Then this table consists of 4 columns which are called as attributes or fields or columns. So name is the first attribute, marks, department and course. Then consists of 6 rows called as tuple or record. So identify key. So as the definition of key says that it is an attribute or set of attributes which uniquely identifies any record. So in this case, you can see that in the name column, there are 2 RAM. Here is also RAM. Here is also RAM. Then I department is same. I department is same. So RAM basically scored 78 marks in C1 course. He is from I department. Then here in the course 2, RAM scored 68 marks, right? So this cannot identify uniquely. For example, suppose you are having a class of say 60 students. So if there is only one RAM in the classroom, out of 60 students, there is only one RAM. So you can easily identify based on the name field. But if there is more than one RAM present in the classroom, you will require some additional attributes. That is maybe his last name, right? So that may distinguish two different students. So if the name as well as surname is same, then you may have father as a third attribute to uniquely identify that particular student in a classroom, right? So similarly, the same logic goes over here. That is, to uniquely identify a row, we must have either all the entries in the attribute unique, or we have to use multiple attributes to uniquely identify the row, right? So name will not be a unique identification key because there is a repetition. Similarly, marks cannot be because there is also repetition. Department, there is also repetition of entries. Then course also there is repetition of entry. So individually, none of the columns is valid key. But in the definition, it is also written that set of attributes. So if we combine all the attributes, name, marks, department and course, so that can be called as a key. Just with the similar example of the classroom, that you are using first name, father's name and last name, 3 columns or 3 attributes to uniquely identify a student. If you assign a single roll number to student, so that can be a single attribute which can act as a key. This is the basic introduction to keys. Now there are several types of keys: super key, candidate key, primary key, foreign key, alternate key, composite key and artificial key. So first of all, let us see super key. So super key is a set of over one key that can identify a record uniquely in the table. And the primary key is a subset of super key. Now you already know that, or so you what is primary key? So primary key, if you're not knowing, I will just explain. So if the all the values row wise are not repeating, then that will be termed as a primary key, right? So super key is a set of over one key that can identify a record uniquely in the table, and primary key is a subset of super key. So you may say that super key is a big set, and inside that there are different types of keys. So primary key is nothing but inside the super key. So any combination of columns are nothing but your super keys, right? So this is the super key. Now what is candidate key and a primary key? So candidate key is an attribute or set of attributes that can uniquely identify a record or tuple, right? Except for primary key, the remaining attributes are considered as candidate key. The candidate keys are as strong as primary key. So if you take this example of the employee table, so there is employee ID one column, employee name second column, employee address third column or attribute, passport number, license number, and SSN number. So if we make this employee ID as a primary key, remaining columns that may form a primary key are called as candidate key. So there can be an Aadhaar number also, which can be a candidate key. But for this table, employee ID will be a primary key and other unique columns will be termed as candidate key. And next is foreign key. So foreign keys are the column of the table used to point to the primary key of another table. If you take example, so there is one base table, that is student details table. That is student ID is the primary key. Student name is non-primary attribute. So you can see there are three students, Ram, Akshara, and Nitin. So this student ID is your primary key as no entries are repeated. Similarly, the student will take different courses. So this here student ID will be a foreign key, which will be referencing to this student ID of the base table, right? So whenever we will join this table, the student ID of the base table will be served as the primary key and foreign key, the student ID of course details student table, right? So this will be a foreign key. Now alternate key is simply the your candidate key plus primary key. So all the unique columns in the table are called as alternate key. Composite key. Now, whenever a primary key consists of more than one attribute, it is known as composite key. In the beginning of this lecture itself, I have explained to identify a RAM, you may need first name, middle name, or last name to identify uniquely. So these three columns forms the composite key set of attributes, or it is also called as concatenated key. So if you combine employee ID, employee role, and project ID to identify a unique row or a record or a tuple, then this combination of these three attributes will be termed as a composite key. And lastly, the artificial key. The key created using arbitrarily assigned data are known as artificial keys. Now, sometimes what happens, your database is very, very huge, right? So these keys are created when the primary key is large and complex and has no relationship with many other relations. So data values of the artificial key are usually numbered in serial order. So for example, it is not possible to define any primary key for that data. So simply an artificial key is added, for example, your row ID or record number, or let's say simply a serial number. So that could serve as artificial key. I hope you understand the different types of keys. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.